I can just start adding anybody who may be coming in a little late. Ray, do you see the waiting room by chance on your end?
Yeah, I could see it.
Okay. I just don't want to miss anybody. So to get started, hi everyone, my name is Patricia Miera, and I am fairly new to New Mexico Highlands. I started over the summer as an instructional designer with online and extended learning. So I work with Patrick, and I'm here to help with any course design within your online courses. If you need help incorporating any brightspace tools or Zoom tools, and a lot of those areas we'll be covering in this presentation as well. And if Dr. Wilson, Patrick, if you want to introduce yourself as well.
Sure, thanks, Patricia. I'm Dr. Patrick Wilson. I've been with Highlands just about a year and a half now. And so I'm still fairly new here. My office is at the Rio Rancho Center. When we are not living in a new COVID world, I try and make it over to the main campus about once a week, and then out to the centers as frequently as I can. So hopefully I'll get to meet those of you who I have not met here in the very near future. So I was really excited when I learned about the invitation to present on this. First of all, because Patricia is such a great resource for Highlands, particularly right now when we're having to kind of push outward into the online environment on a dime. But she really comes with a wealth of experience in online education. And you know, I almost hesitate to use the term online because really, you know, we're here to support technology for your courses in a multitude of ways. So the line between what is a fully online course versus what is a technology enhanced course versus what is a hybrid or blended course, at the end of the day, for the most part, those lines don't make a whole lot of sense. If we can help you, we'll do our best to try and support you in using technology to more effectively reach your students. And so I'll wrap up here and let Patricia get on with the presentation. I just wanted the opportunity to say hi and welcome you all here, and say that we're looking forward to supporting you through the fall and spring semester in any way we can. So thanks. I appreciate you being here.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So it's, you know, a quick PowerPoint, and then I want to provide some time for you guys to collaborate with each other. I find that when you get to bounce ideas off each other, that's when some of, you know, the greatest learning times happen, and some tips that you may learn from each other to use in your own courses. So just a little bit about today's session. I'll be introducing some strategies that encourage student engagement online. This includes welcoming students, providing clear expectations, and the management of both asynchronous and synchronous courses. At the end, again, at the end of this presentation, there'll be some time to exchange ideas with your fellow colleagues on student engagement techniques that maybe you have used in your courses, or something that's covered in this session that you may want to try in your course. Okay, so let's get started. So to start this presentation, I wanted to pose this reflective question. And as we go through this presentation and even after, as you continue to build in your courses, to keep this question in mind. So think of a transformational educational experience you've had. What did you learn and what made this so powerful? And as we start looking at student engagement, I have found that, you know, by reflecting on such powerful experiences, this can help you to see overarching goals you have as the instructor, based on your own experience, as well as overarching goals you have for your students. Okay, so also we're gonna start off with some best practices and look at some design. So, you know, we'll start with some more traditional modes of thinking when discussing, you know, best practices and student engagement. So just as a review, to connect how best practices design and the tools used can increase student engagement, In 1987, Chickering and Gamson wrote this article called The Seven Principles. It's titled The Seven Principles of Good Teaching Practice. And although this article is dated, the best practices they outline are still key areas that are still important today in both face-to-face and online environments, as Patrick mentioned. So, you know, the examples they outlined were contact between student and instructor, you know, prompt feedback, clearly stating time on tasks, communicating high expectations. So we'll also keep these traits in mind as we begin thinking about how we can apply best practices and encourage student engagement in online courses. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about best practices, I want to also talk a little bit about the design component of online courses and how the design also factors into student engagement. So when looking at design, I have experience using the Quality Matters rubric, and it provides a great framework for reviewing course components. This rubric was created by Maryland Online, and it was created by faculty for faculty. So it's a nationally recognized peer review process, and it focuses really on the continuous improvement of online courses. You know, it's based on best practices, research, and online design principles. So this rubric provides, within the rubric, there are 8 general standards and then 42 specific within there. And I can share the rubric. I was going to share it with you via chat, so you can take a look at it. I might have to do that. I'm so sorry. Let me go back. So basically, what QM really focuses on, a big component of QM is the alignment component. So all of the critical course components are working together, so students are meeting the objectives, both the course and any module level objectives you may have. So essentially this really helps to break down the content so that it's clear for your students, you know, how the assessments, how the instructional materials, you know, how the learning activities, they're all tied together. And they have that, you know, aha moment after completing one of your modules. It's all connecting as to how all of those are working together. So I have this link I can share with you, and it's the full rubric that you can take a look at. Just a second, and that's going to be coming through right now. So if you want to review it, it kind of outlines a little bit more, right, of the specific standards and what's in there for you. As you're, you know, going through your course, as you're designing and adding components, that everything's making that clear connection for students. So now that, you know, we've reviewed some of the best practices in both teaching and designing, we're going to look at, you know, creating an online presence in your course. So I like to use an example of when you think about a classroom, whether it be face-to-face or online, many of us might picture certain things that in a physical classroom, the items that are physically present. So there may be desks, you know, chairs, computers. And if we take this example and apply it online, many of the same environmental components exist. So we may not see the desk. However, there are instructional opportunities within this different looking space. So now enters you, the faculty, and students. And this is where the physical aspect and importance of creating the online presence is so important. In a face-to-face course, as the instructor and the students, you see each other. And in the online environment, making your presence known takes a different form than the physical proximity. So what does this look like online? So this type of online environment can be created using interactive technologies consistently and purposely. So in face-to-face courses, you don't necessarily need to think much about your instructor presence. You appear in the classroom, they're aware of your movement, and you know, they're paying attention to when you arrive, how you interact with them, and they understand how to communicate, when and where to ask questions, and you know, they really recognize you as a real person. In the online environment, as instructors, you'll want to be more deliberate in making your presence known. So the student needs to feel they are part of a community. that is guided by an active instructor. And the goal is to ensure students are, on the correct path in understanding the concepts you're covering thoroughly. So, we know that learning does improve when students are engaged, and this type of engagement can take a variety of forms online and includes student to student interaction, student to instructor, and student to content. So to content, to instructor, and to student. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about best practices, the design component, and what online presence looks like, I want to cover some of the tools that are available to you. And this slide covers the tools in Brightspace. There are many more. These are just some that I wanted to focus on that really create that engagement aspect. So for example, using the announcement and email tool can provide students with important information for the week, just to check in, just to see how they're doing. The discussion tool also provides that opportunity for really all three types of engagement between the student, to the content, with each other, and also with you as the instructor. So the discussions can provide a great place for interaction engagement. In Brightspace, you can also create, in addition, you can do student groups for projects and assignments. You can create an item, which is helpful in each weekly module that provides a synopsis for the week, letting students know the same thing, what's being covered, possibly including, a hook to grab their attention, to interest them in that particular lesson you're covering. And in Brightspace, there's a great tool, it's called the video note tool, and they recently increased the time that you can record videos. So you'll have 30 minutes and you can load them in different areas of your course. So it's a great way to, do those hooks, or you can also use the video note to provide personalized feedback when you're grading assignments. Feedback using the video note can also be used in conjunction with rubrics. So rubrics can also be helpful in providing students with specific ways in which their assessments are being graded. By using the rubric tool, expectations are clear for students, assessments are more objective, and there's consistency in grading. And if you use a rubric, it also allows you to provide that additional specific feedback to students as well. So rubrics can be linked to your assignments, to your projects, to your discussions in Brightspace. Another great tool are the replacement strings that you can personalize emails by adding those. So it's just a little note you add in your announcements or emails or discussions, and it'll add their first name to those messages. So it'll say like, hello, Patricia, you did great this week. So each student would see their own name using those replacement strings. Brightspace also has a tool called Intelligent Agents, which are customizable emails, and they're sent out to students based on certain criteria. So if you have an intelligent agent set up, it will send the email to those students. For example, if you want to see which students, have not logged into your course for 3 days, it'll run a report and they'll send that information to you. And you can also set one up to where it'll send a message directly to them. And you can customize those messages using intelligent agents. And I know this is a lot of information on tools, so if you need any help in learning more about these tools, you can email me directly, and I can, we can go over those tools or offer additional training sessions on all these great tools that are available in Brightspace. There's also in Brightspace, when you log in, there's an orientation module that also provides videos and resources on Brightspace and on Zoom. And we also have a faculty help page that I can send you those links as well now. In addition, when you log in, you'll see on the screen here, there's a screenshot, excuse me, of the subscription page where you can access Brightspace subscription training. What's great about this subscription training is that there's tons of webinars, tons of documentation. There's forums with faculty members talking back and forth about different tools in Brightspace. So the community offers a great amount of resources as well on learning about Brightspace tools. So these are just some that can encourage engagement in your classes. And I'm sending the direct links to those videos and to the help page. And I'll also send my direct email. So if you want to set up a time to go over any of these tools, we can also do that. So these are some Brightspace tools. So also within Zoom, if you're doing, asynchronous and synchronous classes, Zoom offers a variety of ways to engage students as well. So in Zoom, there are breakout rooms, which we'll be testing out in just a little bit. And this can help encourage, participation in smaller group setting for students. As an instructor, you have the option to join each room, provide messages in each room, and end the sessions to bring everyone back to the main room when you're done. There's also the screen annotation tool. So you can annotate on a shared screen or a whiteboard. And there's a screenshot on this slide of the tools you have available. There's the text box, the drawing pen that are available to use. And it'll depend on your class, how you might use the whiteboard or screen share. It could be to explain a concept or, use a mind map in your class to brainstorm on. Let's see what else. Zoom also has polling. So the polling tool, you can create a single or a multiple choice set of questions. And this tool is beneficial to break up some of the content that is being covered and just to check in with students. So if you have really long sessions, a couple hours Zoom face-to-face session, the polls can help to check in with them, see that they're following with you, and just breaks up the content a little bit for students. And you can also download those poll results as well. Chat is another one. And it's really, you can encourage engagement for students using the chat to interact with the live activity in the session. So it may be helpful to set guidelines though. Some faculty members might want you to use a chat throughout the session or, say wait till this certain time and I'll ask questions because it may be difficult to manage both your, presentation and trying to go through the chat. So it may be helpful to set guidelines for it. The whiteboard in Zoom. This one you can use the annotation and both you and your students can use it. So the whiteboard is something that you can also save as well. This tool provides the opportunity to brainstorm within your content area. There may be a variety of examples that's specific to your course in which it might be beneficial. So some of your face-to-face, classes you've had, maybe thinking about how you could incorporate that using the whiteboard in Zoom. And then there's also the nonverbal feedback. So there's the reaction button for students to communicate without, interrupting the class. So it can help to check in with students, asking them, to give you a thumbs up. There's also the clapping, and these just appear after 5 seconds. So those are also some great ways to engage students. And same thing, in addition to Brightspace, these tutorials are also offered in the orientation and the faculty help page. And then also I can walk through, set up a meeting and we can meet and run through some of these tools with you and any ideas you may be having to use it in your course. Okay, so now that we've looked at some of the tool options, I want to look at some of the classroom techniques for both asynchronous and synchronous courses. So there are many of the same techniques for both, as well as techniques you use in your face-to-face class. So first I want to take a look at some of the asynchronous strategies. Starting with the asynchronous environment provides students, with the flexibility to work at their own pace and at their own times. So, when students first log in, it'll be important for them to understand what to do first and to get to know you. So this can help minimize worries on how to navigate the course and also understand the course expectations. So including a welcome module, some instructors like to call it a welcome module, orientation, important course information. It's up to you what you'd like to, call this section. But, providing this section can provide students with key pieces of information to, include how to navigate your course, any specific, providing a communication and feedback plan can also be helpful by letting students know, for example, the time frame of when you'll get back to them via email, when they can expect feedback for after submitting their coursework. And on that same note, listing what is expected of the student when communicating in your course. I think because there is a lack of verbal and nonverbal cues with any emails and discussion posts, it will be important to remind students to adhere to, the same standards they would in your face-to-face class. So another idea that one of my colleagues uses is to have students also create an online success and backup plan outlining strategies that can help them plan for success, and also have a backup plan in the event that, technology problems arise, things happen. And this can help them to avoid panicking. So for example, if they run into questions with Brightspace on the weekend or at 2 a.m. on a weekday, having the 24/7 contact information readily available in their plan can help them to be prepared for this online environment. Okay, so it's also some, synchronous classroom management within, is that the whiteboard? Okay, sorry. So now that we've looked at, the asynchronous and synchronous, the same techniques may be helpful to manage Zoom live sessions. So similar, etiquette guidelines apply when students log in, having them mute their mics, proper dress attire, good lighting. The example on the screen is from Minnesota State University, and it's just an example of some areas you may want to address for your Zoom session. So each class may have, some specific guidelines that is specific to your course. So this is just an example. Providing an agenda at the beginning of the Zoom session can also be helpful, letting students know, how the session will run and what will be covered. So a lot of the same techniques, just a little bit different depending on the type of an environment that you have, whether it's asynchronous or synchronous. So I wanted to share this short video, and it covers many of the areas highlighted throughout this presentation, along with some other great recommendations. Let me, can everyone hear?
High touch is more important than high tech. When a student is in crisis or a student wants to brainstorm an idea, when they need a question answered, I want to be efficient. And one of the best ways of doing that is using the telephone. And so that's a real high touch way that has been really effective for me. And I had really avoided it for a long time because I thought, no, that's really not the technology of online education. But everything is the technology of online education.
Establish social presence using digital storytelling. When you start a face-to-face classroom, when that professor comes in, you're looking at their clothes, the way they act, the jokes, the stories, all these things. We size up who they are, right? So for me, one of the things I leveraged or I relied on was the power of storytelling. And so the power of storytelling, telling stories is a great way to establish your presence and help students get to know each other as real people.
Use technology intentionally. I think we get so excited, I know I do, about new tools and new digital communities and the social media tools and technologies that we can use to really enhance what we're trying to achieve with students in our courses. But we sometimes let the tool sort of drive our decision making as opposed to going back to our learning objectives and saying, what do we really want to achieve? Does the tool help us achieve that? Just because we get really excited.
The power of external resources. There's tons of resources out there that if you just take the time to look, it's amazing what you can use to supplement your online courses. And so you don't have to do all the work yourself. It doesn't always have to be contained in the LMS or in the textbook. And hopefully through that also help encourage and teach your students that there's great resources out there if you just spend the time.
Make your expectations explicit. Being explicit in your directions, in your expectations, in everything that you are trying to achieve with students. That so often we keep that secret, we keep that hidden as faculty. We know what it is. Sometimes we don't even know that we're keeping it hidden.
Make it really easy for students to find out what is it they have to do that week, when does it due, what are the points, what's it worth, those types of things.
Fun and playfulness and the unexpected. Doing something that's different can really jolt them and re-energize them and re-engage them in a way that allows them to express themselves creatively. So that it's not just writing an essay, but let's write a screenplay that demonstrates your understanding of these concepts. So anything that adds a little playfulness, I think just re-engages people and makes the online experience not feel so cookie cutter.
You have to log in regularly. You probably should plan at least 5 days a week to be logging in your course. Now, that doesn't mean you have to log in, all day, 5 days a week, right? Sometimes people, I think, misconstrue that and will say things like, well, online learning is just so much more work than face-to-face. I don't necessarily buy that, but it's very distributed. The faculty that I know that are the most successful, in my own experience, has been they log in regularly to their courses. The power of personal feedback. One of the things that I find that students really value and that they take away from is when they get specific individual feedback that's meaningful. And by not just giving feedback, but giving audio video feedback, I've had students come back to me and really comment on how it was very meaningful to hear that even the inflection in my voice and that they could actually walk away with the positive comments. Whereas a lot of times when you just type stuff out, the negative just kind of comes through, right?
Okay. Awesome. So I hope you found some of those tips helpful as well. And so right now I kind of wanted to provide everybody with the time to, brainstorm and exchange ideas. I was looking at the chat and I saw, there was already some conversation about, using polls and how setting those up before has been helpful. So just ideas that you've used, any key takeaways from the presentation, and we're going to test out the breakout rooms and provide you guys with some times to collaborate. So just some suggestions just to get the conversation started. You may want to decide on like a facilitator who's comfortable, keeping time management. And there's just some, areas you may want to talk about, any areas you'd like to outline in your communication plan. So it's really open for collaboration among your colleagues, and we'll come back about, let's see, maybe we'll do 15 minutes for any additional questions you might have. If that works for everybody, does that sound good? Okay, awesome. Oh, and also, so you'll get like a minute warning before we come back to the session. It'll tell you we're about to come back to the main room.
Hey, Patricia, I think I'm in the breakout room, or I'm not sure where I am.
I think you are.
I
I'm
missed
trying to
a-
see. I'm going to jump back in between, but I think, let me see.
I'm used to seeing like a breakout room number or something. That's why I'm a little confused.
Yeah, did you get an invitation to join one? by
No, I
chance?
did not, but I also had a little internet glitch maybe too about that time.
So I'm going to move you to one now, if that works.
Okay, we'll
Here you go,
let's see.
okay?
All right.
Did it not move you?
I am still with you. So
Oh, it says not joined. So there should be a message that popped up somewhere on your screen
let
to
me
join.
exit the full screen.
Because I see you in breakout room 5 and it just says not joined.
Well, let me see. I've been in plenty of meetings this summer with breakout rooms, so I've never had a problem, but let me see if there's something. That's really weird because under participants, I don't show, and
Hmm.
yeah, first time I've had anything quite like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure because it shows not joined. I see a few that are not, that didn't click join. So I don't know what
Yeah, and when I
happened.
go to participants, I don't see any options or anything to join anything.
Hmm.
Oh, breakout rooms. Let me see. Let me go here. There.
Okay, awesome.
Hey, Patricia, this is Ray. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh, hey, do you want me to
I
pause
can
the
hear
recording
you.
or they're in the breakout rooms?
Yes, that would be perfect.
Okay,
Thank
then I'll
you.
stay listening for when everybody comes back, or are they going to come back?
Yes, I'll bring them all back. I think we're the only ones that should be in
Okay.
here. In small groups, I kind of jumped into each session and there was some great ideas. I heard about checklists and, you know, icebreakers and different tools that you use in your class. So if you have any additional questions for Patrick or myself, I did see that I was not sending the links to everyone. So I did repost those in the chat tool. So you should see the QM rubric and the other resources for the help page and subscribing to the Brightspace community. I think we have a few minutes left if anyone has any questions.
I do. This is Doug. I'm in counseling. And I was interested in one of Jacob's favorite ways to teach is to give students sort of an asynchronous option. They can come for the recording in the session, or they can watch the recording asynchronously. And I did that almost spontaneously for years. But recently, I've requested that, and that hasn't been, I've not been allowed to teach that way. I've been asked to choose between fully asynchronous, not doing that, or synchronous, where everyone has to come. And I thought the reason I was being asked not to do that was because it was a new policy university-wide. But I'm curious if there are professors in any departments anywhere who routinely teach that way, and if there's a policy for it or against it.
Okay. Patrick, I might pass this to you if you have any information, because I do not know. I've been here a short while. So I'm not too sure on the specific policies. I think those are approved by your schools on how it's right, taught, what whether it's hybrid or asynchronous or synchronous. Is Patrick still here?
Yeah,
I can definitely,
yeah.
okay.
I'm here, Patricia. You know, as that's to be honest with you, just to answer the question directly, Doug, I am not aware of a university level policy that would prohibit you from teaching like that. But I will add the caveat that's above my pay grade. You know, there are so many other entities that could have say on that. That just because I'm not aware of something doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And yeah, you know, things change, and so it could be that there may have been a reason at a particular point in time why that was not advisable, but in today's environment, things are different. So it could be that it's a question worth revisiting with your department chair or dean, and making sure that position still holds, because as far as I know, that's not a university thing.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Patrick.
Of course.
Okay, well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope you found some helpful information, helpful resources. And again, if you need any help with anything, learning any tools, or want to brainstorm any ideas, you can email me, and I can set up a time. We can meet via Zoom. So thank you so much, everyone. Bye.